This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
The state government will be looking for commitments on health and education in tonight's federal budget. Promises have already been made in infrastructure, while the looming GST change could be revealed, putting pressure on state finances.
A pre-budget sweetener on infrastructure making for a happy treasurer. Yesterday's pledge of almost $1 billion for roads and rail likely to be our biggest budget gift.
We want to see a strong focus on health and education, but importantly for this economy, infrastructure spending is key.
Spending, the Treasurer says, will drive jobs and further investment, but the opposition says funding for essential services is where the true test lies.
They should be lobbying the federal government for more support for housing and health, and if they fail to do that, then we will know again that they have failed to deliver for Tasmania.
There's little indication of any healing for the Tasmanian Health Service, while relief for the housing crisis appears unlikely amid negotiations to have the state's housing debt wiped clean.
That is an ongoing conversation with the federal government. We will continue to hold the position that we would want them to forgive that debt, and we've made that perfectly clear.
What remains unclear is the Federal Treasurer's position on GST shares, with a pending change to its distribution due in coming weeks. Tonight, a GST result for states and territories will be announced, which could give an insight into Scott Morrison's likely course of action.
We've seen the Federal Treasurer just in the last couple of days committing to restructure GST, and he did that in Western Australia. He's very clear that that's going to be done in a way that favours Western Australia.
A focus on Western Australia will likely be to the detriment of Tasmania. Any change to the GST formula threatening Mr Gutwin's budget under pressure from the state election splurge.
Our election spending is fully funded, fully costed, and importantly will be met on time and in full.
Jacqueline Robson, Southern Cross News.
In news just in, the political dual citizenship saga appears to have reared its head once again. It's been reported Tasmanian Braddon MP Justine Key may resign within the next few days if Labor Senator Katie Gallagher is found ineligible for Parliament by the High Court tomorrow. Miss Key was still a British citizen the night she was elected, but insists she took the reasonable steps to renounce her dual allegiance. Other media outlets say if the High Court rules against Katie Gallagher tomorrow, and it's a very cut and dry decision, Ms Key, Josh Wilson and Susan Lamb will all resign. Whether that eventuates, we'll have to wait until tomorrow to find out. Tonight, the GST outcome for the state budget period will be announced. The result may provide an insight into the Federal Treasurer's likely course of action once a review into the GST shares is delivered in coming weeks. The Legislative Council seat of Hobart has been officially declared, with incumbent Rob Valentine returning in a landslide victory. The independent member took 60% of the vote. He says the Mount Wellington cable car development and proposed changes to gun laws were hot topics.
And that's why I mentioned transparency. It is important that governments are transparent, that they don't have backroom deals going on.
Votes are still being counted in the newly created seat of Prosser. Tasmania's Treasurer has today raised concerns over the Anglican Church's plan to sell half of its properties to fund compensation for survivors of child sexual abuse. Peter Gutwin says he will hold a meeting with the Church next week.
I've had a number of constituents that have raised with me concerns about recent internments in some of the cemeteries, families that have purchased plots for future internments, and I think there are a range of matters that need to be clarified in that regard.
Anglican Bishop Dr Richard Condie says the Burials and Cremations Act ensures there will be no change to burial ground access regardless of who buys a property. A Tasmanian woman has lost everything after a fire ripped through her unit early this morning. She was hospitalised for treatment after escaping the inferno.
The ferocious fire left a devastating mark, its fury blowing out windows and leaving the Invermay unit charred on all sides.
What we arrived to find is a house fairly involved, mostly at the front end of the house.
The female occupant was rushed to the Launceston General Hospital. It's understood she was treated for smoke inhalation. while precautions were taken to protect firefighters from the debris. Their efforts managed to stop the blaze from spreading to other units in the block.
Neighbouring properties were evacuated and exposures were considered during this operation.
It still isn't clear what started the blaze, but the Tasmania Fire Service says it's a timely reminder to check smoke alarms as we head into winter.
And also be aware of your neighbours and their safety as well.
The damage bill is estimated at $200,000. Investigations are ongoing. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
The owners of a North Hobart property will be counting their lucky stars tonight after staff from a nearby business saved their home from tragedy. A garbage bin on the veranda caught alight after a passerby disposed of his cigarette butt around 9 o'clock this morning.
Very quick action by the residents from Upton Salvage to bring their hose reel across, and they actually extinguished the fire probably within 2 or 3 minutes of noticing the fire had started. The fire was burning quite well, so it wasn't far off actually spreading into the roof space.
Authorities taking the opportunity to remind people to remain vigilant when disposing of ash or cigarette butts. Tasmania Police is offering a $5,000 reward for information leading to the whereabouts of this stolen 1964 E.H. Holden station wagon. The vehicle was stolen from an Underwood shed between the 17th and 23rd of March, along with other property including a log splitter. Anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. While tourism on Mount Wellington continues to be the subject of significant debate, crews are working hard to restore walking tracks on the Hobart icon. Helicopters today making over 50 trips to deliver 160 tonnes of gravel and rocks to workers upgrading the Pinnacle
also
track.
Also natural fill from the mountain itself, because walkers are telling us the natural fill, which is a clay, is much easier to walk on, and it's noiseless, doesn't make as much sound as gravel, so we're taking their advice.
The project is expected to be completed by the end of the year. They are the people who are there when others need it most. They have the ears that listen and the hands that help. And today, 150 of our state's volunteers were thanked as part of World Red Cross Day.
Giving back to those who give others so much. A morning tea celebrating World Red Cross Day and rewarding some of the charity's almost 2,000 Tasmanian volunteers.
We have a range of different programs, from community visitors programs, so people go and visit people in the community to try and make them feel included and give them some social connections. We have learner driver programs.
Devonport's John McPhee joined the Red Cross 3 years ago. Each week he spends 4 days visiting others who are lonely or dealing with personal issues.
The only way that you can help people is by going out and meeting them. And then when they invite you into their home and then into their trust and into their lives, you know, you learn so much about them, and it's the only way I believe that you could truly help them.
And age is proving no barrier for many. Maisie Pike is 99 years old and has been with the Ulverston Red Cross since the 1940s.
I'm on the trade table. I've been on that for over 40 years. I still do cooking and making jam and sauce, pickles.
There's certainly a lot of the traditional ways that people have volunteered for many years, but what we're at Red Cross trying to do is also think about what's the flexibility we can offer people, so people can volunteer an hour a month, an hour a week, you know, whatever suits their lifestyles.
I go out on the community and give the meals to the people in the homes.
The next generation now encouraged to offer a helping hand.
It makes you aware of just how bad things are out there and how we can help.
Monique Dadson at Southern Cross News.
A special milestone is being celebrated at Devil's Ark, a home for Tasmanian devils north of Newcastle. One of the home's cheekiest residents turned 1 today. Tora the Tassie Devil was raised by keepers and appeared to enjoy the birthday attention. She's just one of 150 devils living at the Ark. They remain an endangered species under threat from our facial tumour disease. Tasmanian businesses are learning how smart technology can help workers with a disability find employment. An information session being held tonight is illustrating how workers can type with their eyes or control objects using their voice thanks to new devices.
Access, for example, garage doors, front doors, as well as things like appliances, lighting, all those sort of things.
There's a broader recognition now that people of all abilities can add value to business.
The Launceston Chamber of Commerce says not-for-profit and technology businesses are among those showing the most interest in tonight's event. Now let's take a look at the day's business and finance news thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. The Australian share market has closed flat ahead of the federal budget. The ASX 200 index has risen by 7.4 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 75.14 US cents and 106.93 New Zealand cents.
With just one Tasmanian drafted into the AFL system in the past 2 years, the state is set for a dramatic change of fortune come November. Touted as one of, if not the best group of collective football talent Tasmania has ever produced, the Mariners are preparing for a massive milestone come Saturday. It's a feat very few sporting teams have achieved, but one the under-18 Mariners side are on the verge of pulling off.
I've seen talented players, but not all in one group. You know, this group's been an exceptional group. They've never been beaten, even in their under-16 year.
Saturday's match against the GWS Academy at the Twin Ovals will be the group's last ever game together after last weekend's impressive 32-point win over the Sydney Swans Academy.
To me, it's just their general hardness. It's their toughness around the contest. Our young boys, and to compete against bigger bodies, I reckon they had 3 or 4 kilos per person on us.
Following Saturday's match, Armstrong will inform the squad which of them have earned selection into the Allies side, set to compete in next month's National Under-18 Championships.
We're up against the very best, and that's where I think careers will be made.
While the hype surrounding Taron Thomas continues to grow, with some predicting the North Melbourne-bound star could be picked top 3 in November's draft.
I'd take him 1. He's the best I've seen come through.
With several others, including Launceston's Chase Jones and North Hobart's Fraser Turner also in the mix, just how well this exciting young crop holds up under the rigours of the AFL system remains to be seen.
Time will tell that, won't it? You know, you've got to get to Melbourne, then you've got to survive 10 to 15 years at the top level, and that's where you determine whether you're going to be a good player or not.
Good evening. Hobart and Friendly Beaches topped our list today with 17 degrees, Launceston and Devonport 15, Burnie 16 degrees. Mount Wellington started the day with a -2, but temperatures were mostly above average. King Island and Smithton 16, Flinders Island, Lowhead, Grove, Ouse and Strawn all on 15. Now, here's the cloud shot for today with a layer of low cloud and mountain wave activity mainly over the west and south and through Bass Strait. Now, we are in between 2 fronts at the moment. The one to the west is due through tomorrow. There is high level cloud over southern WA due to a jet stream. A large high dominates the rest of the country and keeping the cloud to a minimum, apart from just off the east there. Now that front crossing us tomorrow is attached to a complex low pressure system. A high slides over the bight as multiple troughs sit over the mainland. Winds northwesterly at 15 to 25 knots, increasing up to 30 knots and to 35 knots at times over the southwest. A west-northwesterly change will develop in the afternoon and evening, swells to 4 metres. Gale warning for waters between South East Cape and Low Rocky Point. A strong wind warning for remaining coastal waters. A small craft wind alert for the lakes. Hobart, an afternoon shower, 18 the top, 16 for Geefston. Showers developing as well for Bothwell, 15 the maximum. For Launceston, showers developing, 16 the high, 16 also for Devonport, a windy day. Showers on the way too for Cressy and 14. For Burnie, a showery windy day, 16 the top, 15 for Strawn. Showers and wind over King Island, Curry 16 tomorrow. St Helens, a late shower, 17, 18 the top for Swansea and Orford with a shower on the way too later in the day. Thursday, showers statewide, more frequent about the south and east. Snow lowering to the 900 metre mark in the west. Showers again on Friday, tending to rain over the south and east with a heavy fall or 2. And another decent fall of rain over the east on Saturday with showers easing from the north and south. Sunny and 25 in Perth. Showers moving over Adelaide and later Melbourne. Mostly sunny and 25 in Sydney tomorrow. Darwin fine as well, but an early shower over Brisbane. Temperatures now dropping a little bit, but still clear around the state. 12 in Hobart, Launceston 10, Devonport 14. Now, Joe, a lot of people make a lot of comments about the way we look on television. I've had a lot lately talking about how grey I'm getting. Now, because you're the main reason for that, have you got a remedy for me?
Perhaps you could retire, darling. All right, thank you very much. No, we don't really want you to retire. Thanks, Murph. Before we leave you tonight, a temporary part of Launceston's streetscape is coming down. This huge yellow crane has been a symbol of the Silos Hotel project over the past 18 months. With its job now done, highly specialised workers spent the day dismantling the giant piece of equipment.
There's some 24 tonne of concrete counterweights on the back. Most of those come out to start with. Then the jib comes down in 3 sections. There's some special sections on top with a cab, and then the tower will come down in about 3 sections.
The crane has been put on the market for sale, while the hotel and restaurant will welcome its first guests from early next month. Well, that's all from the Southern Cross News team for now. Thanks for your company. We'll see you a bit later. Bye-bye.